Anyways, good afternoon. It's my pleasure today to represent all of Team BC athletes and be able to give some insight on just what Special Olympics has done for athletes such as myself and my own experiences. My story is just one of countless others, many of which have different accounts and accomplishments on the field of play, as well as success in life. It all plays into my own mantra when it comes to these national games to show that we can. I'm now 29 years old, and I'm in my 18th season with Special Olympics, dating back to the 1996-97 season. I participated in a number of sports in those years: soccer, 5-pin bowling, alpine skiing, softball, floor hockey, soccer, 10-pin bowling, and of course, athletics. I've competed at the provincial level at 4 of these sports: alpine skiing in 2003 and 2007, softball in 2005 and 2009, floor hockey in 2011, which I'll also be joining my team for next year's provincial games in Kamloops, and in athletics last year. Out of those, I've competed at the national level once before for alpine skiing in 2004, and this year marks the second time that I've made it to the national games, the first time for a summer sport, and the first time that I'll be competing against the rest of Canada at home. Because I'm one of the more able athletes, I try to be a role model for my teammates, as I believe we all have the potential to improve within us, no matter if we are the fastest athlete on the track or competing in a skills division in floor hockey. Off the field of play, I've taken on a number of different athlete leadership opportunities. This includes being a part of the SOBC Athlete Speakers Bureau, which I've been a part of since 2007. Since then, I've presented to a number of organizations and sponsors, including the Law Enforcement Torch Run and YISC. I was also the athlete speaker for the 2009 Sports Celebrities Festival, where I was featured alongside Canucks center Ryan Kessler. I've also been to a number of regional athlete congress sessions over the years, received training in athlete governance, and was a part of the first ever Special Olympics Canada Athlete Leadership Program, which was held for Western Canada here at UBC this January. Last year, my coaches nominated me for the 2013 SOBC Spirit of Sport Award because of my high regard that I hold for my teammates and opponents in. A true indicator of the progress I've made since I started as a confused, shy, and temperamental athlete. Also, I could speak volumes about my father and all the things he's done for me in my lifetime. From a Special Olympics perspective, though, not only is he my ski coach, but he was also one of the assistant coaches for Team Canada's alpine ski team at the Special Olympics Winter Games in Pyeongchang, South Korea last year. Of course, my life wasn't always as bright as it is now. In fact, I had a fairly rough childhood, mainly due to the fact that I had my disability left undiagnosed for so long. In elementary school, I was always somewhat of a quote-unquote problem child. I mean, I did okay in school and everything, but my behavior was frequently off the charts. It wasn't until 1996 that my stepmother stepped in and decided I needed to see a psychologist. More than a year later, I had been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome on the high end of the autism spectrum. What it meant was, yes, I could be quite the intelligent person, but I do struggle to connect with other people. I was scared to talk on the phone, scared to go out to people and ask them questions and other things like that. Even to this day, I still tend to shy out of some social situations. And at work, I still have to if I have to call for someone over the radio, I have to think about what I'm going to say first out of fear that I might stutter or stumble over myself. Of course, I had to work through my current situation first. High school was a grind, especially because I left myself so vulnerable to my classmates. When they would tease me, I would react, not understanding that maybe they were just making a fun jab at a ridiculous comment I made. I had a circle of classmates that I could trust in my concert and jazz band classes over the years, but outside the band room, oppression awaited me. My quirky behavior was enough to be quickly labeled by those students that didn't know me very well. For many of these years, the R word was used on occasion. I had my share of abuse for being the person that I was. That being said, I did graduate and was very proud of myself for what I had achieved. I didn't really stay in touch from those that I knew from school, aside from a couple of friends, and following school, I usually toughed it out by myself outside of my Special Olympics programs. Between practice and whatever casual work I was doing at the time, I was spending my time alone, in my room, indulging in the latest book or video game / MMO. My parents would intervene with me with subtlety every once in a while, which did eventually work. Of course, gaming being one of my biggest hobbies and interests, along with music, sports, and tech, helped me find groups of typical people around my age that I would hang out with. I would eventually open up to other people and wasn't afraid to socialize anymore. Along the way, I had the help of social workers and support groups to get me to open up, but really I credit it to Special Olympics. Because of my involvement, I now act more assertively, I reach out to people more, and I feel like I can live my life just like any other person. Today, I now have a job where I'm averaging around 25 hours a week and I'm considered one of the hardest workers on my team. I feel healthier due to Team BC's new performance program that was brought in for this year's National Games, and I volunteer in the community with a number of other sporting events. For example, I had volunteered on Cypress Mountain for the 2010 Winter Olympic Games, and I also work with the BCHL's Coquitlam Express as their timekeeper. This year, I'm really excited to be returning to the National Games for the first time in 10 years, and I'm even more proud to be part of the largest contingent that my hometown of Coquitlam has ever sent, 18 athletes and 7 coaches. I was a bit surprised when I got named to the team in September, as I felt I was just going to squeak it in. However, I was ready to take on the challenge head on. My Team BC and training coaches have helped me every step of the way, giving me advice on how to improve in certain areas, including improving my endurance as well as my nutrition. Strength and conditioning sessions were set up for me during the off season, and by the time I hit the track in April, I could already feel the improvement in my legs. In my first 400-meter run of the session, I ran a minute 8, shaving 1 second off my personal best that I set at the provincial games last year, and moving well towards my goal of being able to consistently run under a minute 10. The training I have done here at UBC has been awesome, and I cannot wait to compete on our home field. Along with our fabulous coaches, we have been very lucky to be helped by Derek Johnson, UBC's own sprint coach for track and field, director of programs and technical development for BC Athletics, and the head coach for the Vancouver Thunderbirds Track and Field Club. Needless to say, I would say we've had the best trainers possible and cannot thank this campus enough for all their support and opportunities this past year. Of course, all this training hasn't been easy at times. Between my job and my sport practices, 20-hour days have been the norm. And many times during the week, I would be working at 3:30 in the morning right through to 11 o'clock, then have practice starting around 6, going to about 7:30 or 8, and then have to get up for another 3:30 shift the next morning. Honestly, some weeks have left me burnt out, but for me, it hasn't been an excuse to give up. It's something that I've picked up from my father. I felt honored these last few months to have been a part of Team BC for the second time, and I'm looking forward to the National Games to be able to erase that stigma that, as people with intellectual disabilities, we can't, and instead show them that, yes, we can. It's for this reason that I get up in the wee hours of morning to work, train in the evening, and do it all over again the next day. For other athletes, it might be harder, but I believe that we can all do it. For this National Games, UBC is playing a huge part in helping athletes show that we can, and I'm truly grateful for that. Thank you, everyone, for your support, dedication, and commitment to Special Olympics. We appreciate all that you have done and are doing for us. Go Team BC, go!